Hello, this is a presentation of a master's thesis, an international comparison between classification systems in the construction field for the needs of the Finnish Transport Infrastructure Agency. And my name is Emeli Erkkilä. This thesis was done in Aalto University through my workplace Sitowise to the Finnish Transport Infrastructure Agency. And this thesis has two parts. The first one is a literature review, where first I have figured out the current situation with classification systems in the Finnish construction field, mostly the infrastructure field. Then what standards are related to classifications. And then I have compared the classifications used by transport infrastructure agencies and some similar organizations in different countries. And the second part is an interview study where I have interviewed experts in the FTIA about what kind of classifications are used there today, how well do the classifications serve their needs, what kind of challenges or weaknesses do they have, would an international comprehensive multidimensional BIM compatible classification system serve their needs better, because the current systems really aren't, or would methods of another country serve also our needs better, and what kind of challenges or controversies would it include if we move to such classification system. The current situation in Finland is that in the infrastructure field, we have this Infra 2015 classification system, which includes 6 separate classification systems, but no system to mix them together. So although it's sometimes called multidimensional, it is really not, but it's a so-called orthogonalic system. And then we have other systems more or less linked to that. And when we go to the building construction field, we have totally different systems from the infrastructure field. And then what standards are related to classification systems, which is applied in the current Finnish systems, are here. The first one advises classification in the construction field in a very general level. The second one advises building reference designations for objects or assets. And the third one defines the maintenance terminology. Then the comparison. We sent emails, me and my guidance group, to people in transport infrastructure agencies or some other organizations in 11 European countries, and we asked what classification solutions they have there or standards. And from 9 of 11 countries, at least one response was received. The general results, what we got for the comparison, were that the need for BIM compatibility in classification is widely recognized, as well as the need to extend classification and BIM for the maintenance phase. Currently, they are normally applied in the maintenance phase, which is just dumb because functional asset management requires that the data is in a good order. And situations in the countries vary, but no country still seems to have a complete solution yet. And for us, the most interesting reference systems were CCI and COCLAS, which are based on the same standards. CCI is an international system and COCLAS is a Swedish system, also tried by the Norwegians. And an important fact was that the most interesting countries about most interested countries about these kind of systems were the Nordic countries as well as the post-socialist ones. And here I have the comparison results country by country, but in this presentation I'm not going deeper to them, but you can see them here. Then the interviews. Originally, 7 interviews were planned and held, with 14 interviews in total. All experts of the FTIA, except in the road design interview. There were also people from Elinkeinoliikenne- ja Ympäristökeskus, because their role in road design is quite strong. But this was the division. Different transport modes and life cycle phases. Then in these original interviews, rose need for 2 extra interviews. Velho, the new national data storage system, and IHKU, a new cost calculation system for infrastructure projects, because these are quite closely related to classification systems and new projects. And all the interviews were held by teams because the pandemic, 1 hour each, and they were semi-structured intended group interviews, but in some interviews I had only 1 interviewee. And the interviews were recorded and transcribed. Then the summary and conclusions about the current situation. Use of Infra 2015 classification system is promoted in the FTIA, but the real level of usage varies a lot. And as one interviewee said, palveleehan ne, kun ei muita ole. Yes, they serve because we have no others about the current systems. The problems what were seen the greatest was the lack of uniformity between life cycle phases. Also, there were seen as problems conflicts between different classification systems and dismissal of intangible issues, such as site area or road area boundaries. And there was also almost total ignorance of the maintenance terminology standard EN 13306, which came up in the rail maintenance interview. And CCI was chosen, which was chosen for reference system in this thesis. The greatest advantage from the CCI would be that the same item and reference designation would follow the object or the asset in the whole life cycle, which would improve data trackability. And another advantage would be that it is based on international standards. And as one interviewee said, standardin on paras tapa vakioida joku asia. Then the disadvantages, the standards are much based on building construction, so it is somewhat a threat that infrastructure could be left somewhat aside. And the old systems are a burden. It means that the change process would be laborious and expensive. And the CCI has a logical way, a standardized way to build reference designations for objects, but it is true that they are not really human readable without a manual, let alone building them. And then the recommendations. Advantages would be definitely gained through CCI, but the change would be expensive and laborious, so a thorough cost-benefit analysis is necessary before doing any changes. And we should also keep our eyes open if some other options are coming in the future. And an important thing is that experience of different forms of transport is needed. If a system works on roads, it doesn't mean it works on railways. Or if it works on railways, it doesn't mean it works on roads. And international uniformity in classification is good. No one is against it, but usually it was seen that our national needs come first. And uniformity through the whole construction field was not seen very important in the FTIA. But anyhow, CCI or not, the Finnish maintenance classification system, the current one, should be totally renewed and based on the standard EN 13306. And also one thing which is important is that how capable the programs are to use CCI or the system we want to use. So it should also be included in the cost-benefit analysis. What did I learn from this? This gave quite good knowledge of classification. Yes, thank you.